Hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippine. Welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. Apologies for kind of the late upload here tonight, but it was a great win for the Vikings here, winning this game by 8 against the Dallas Cowboys. And it was one of those games where you were worried at the very beginning that maybe, JJ and this Vikings offense wasn't going to be able to catch up. It was a tough game for the defense, but we kind of expected that. Dallas Cowboys, whether they're winning or losing, are going to be in shootouts. Like they talked about all throughout the course of the broadcast, they have some of the most points scored and the most points given up out of any team in the NFL. Their defense has been pretty irrelevant for the most part this season. But I just feel like regardless of how well or how poorly the defense played for the Cowboys, this was a great game for J.J. McCarthy. Regardless of who was on the field, he was just more comfortable, even with the fact that this offensive line, which is still frustrating despite it being the full, complete offensive line that we were wanting this whole season, is still not playing its best. This Cowboys D-line is really one of their only real, upsides, despite a couple different secondary options as well. But this defensive line was getting to McCarthy multiple times, kind of affecting his throws. Very few of those throws that were just straight up time in the pocket and straight up overthrew or underthrew receivers this time around. This time there was a lot more pressure-based situations. A couple times he kind of overthrew or overled JJ or Justin Jefferson, I have to say now, with some of those throws where he was anticipating the hit. JJ is one of those few quarterbacks where it feels like almost he throws it too hard and overthrows wide receivers when he's getting hit, which is funny. But yeah, there's still some mechanics that need to be addressed. JJ still has a little bit of a difficulty of figuring out when to throw that fastball, when to float it in a little more, put some more touch on the ball. But he put some really good deep balls together. Obviously, that touchdown to Jalen Naylor, who thankfully ended up being okay after hitting his head on the floor there. He got that nice deep throw to Addison that got us in the red zone on that possession. But multiple different situations where J.J. McCarthy saw who he needed to see and put the ball where he needed to put it. A lot more accurate on the short throws as well. Like I said, very few of those short throws where it wasn't pressure that was causing him to miss some of those throws. A few times where JJ was trying to find Justin Jefferson, and it was kind of both their faults at the same time. Sure, Justin Jefferson should have caught a couple of those, but he did fire them in there, again, working on those fastballs, but also those short range throws from 10 or 15 yards out. Probably one of those things that we still need to work on with JJ McCarthy. And obviously, we just want to see this when he's playing in more meaningful games versus better defenses. But the fact that he was able to put this game together regardless of who we were up against is impressive and a good sign. And hopefully will prove some of those, people wrong that I think have the wrong mindset of, well, all this means is we have a worse draft pick. That's not the priority here. The priority is, how confident are we at the end of the season in J.J. McCarthy leading our team? And in my opinion, regardless of how this season ended, we were going to play J.J. for all of next season because he needs more time. And more time is something that a lot of fans, for some reason, aren't willing to give him ever since the beginning. He got 2 games in and people were already calling for him to be benched. Then Rosenberg did come in and we saw how that went. But yeah, I think that, like I've been talking about, these last few games are really just a measuring stick for what to expect and what to work on in the offseason and what to expect next season. And if we see more of the J.J. McCarthy that we saw in this game, and if he can keep that consistent and be able to produce that way against better teams in those big situations, which I definitely think that he is capable of rising to the occasion in those big situations. It's just working on putting together the mechanics with the situational football that comes with what he needs to do versus those better teams. And we're going to have another good measuring stick these next few weeks because we still have one more matchup against the Lions on Christmas. and we have a couple more matchups that will be interesting to see as well. So hopefully we can see how we play, because we played pretty well against the Lions the first time we played them, so we're going to have to see there. But yeah, again, the defense wasn't great in this game, but Dak Prescott, props to him, has been playing really well this season. But what mattered is that when we needed a couple stops to continue our offensive momentum and get in the lead, we were able to do that. Huge fourth down, and forcing a few that easily could have been touchdowns and forcing the field goal. Eventually, one of those field goals was missed. So the defense not necessarily putting the game on their back, but certainly doing enough to keep us in it with the way JJ was playing. And McCarthy having an over 100 rating in this game is very, very good and very uplifting for us Vikings fans that are kind of biting our nails in anticipation of how he's going to pan out these next couple years. But yeah, I mean, games like this just get you more excited for next season, when we can hopefully at least try and make the playoffs next season. If he plays like this consistently all season long, I certainly think we can try and push for the playoffs next year and see where we go from there, especially if we can continue with those off-season acquisitions, see if we can figure out why the acquisitions of Hargrave and Allen didn't work out last year or this year. And there's a lot of ways that we can improve the team from there. But let me know your thoughts on the game. Obviously, Will Reichert, I shouldn't pass him up, because special teams usually only gets brought up when it's bad. But Reichert has been playing really well and nailed a couple long ones today, and he's been phenomenal. So one of the reasons why you draft a kicker rather than signing him on, even though a few of them haven't worked out for us as Vikings fans. But again, let me know your thoughts. Vikings win versus the Dallas Cowboys, and no matter what you say, a win is always good, because you never want to establish a losing culture, because, like I've said before, the Jets have consistently gotten first or top 5, top 10 picks. The Dolphins and all these other teams have gotten consistent top 10 picks over the last 5 to 10 years, or even further. And the way some of these people are acting like we should be intentionally tanking, you'd think that every team that's gotten a top 5 pick the last few years has been in the playoffs immediately. That's just not the way it works. And give JJ McCarthy time, give the rest of this team time to mold around it, and we're looking good. And this was a phenomenal weekend for Minnesota sports. Obviously, the big acquisition by the Wild, followed up by a win yesterday. I was actually at the game. And then a win today, and the Timberwolves won today too. So it's been a great weekend for Minnesota sports. And so hoping to keep it going over the next few months and into Vikings offseason. But again, one more time, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.